Chicago. Now, live, this is the NBC 5 News at 10.
Murder on the Gold Coast. Who killed wealthy real estate developer Lee Miglin? The search intensifies for the clue that may lead police to a suspect, Miglin's missing luxury car. Tonight, we now know where it was seen last. Good evening, everyone. I'm Allison Rosati.
And I'm Ron Majors. Tonight, new details revealed about the murder of 72-year-old Lee Miglin. He was found inside the garage of his Gold Coast home. Chicago police now say Miglin was tortured, beaten, and stabbed, possibly with 2 weapons, and that more than one person may have been involved in this crime. NBC5's night team reporter Robin George joins us live from the Miglin home on East Scott. Robin?
Ron, tonight there is a squad car protecting the residents, both out here in front and in back of the residence. As you can see, the lights have been turned out. The blinds have been drawn closed for the night. About an hour ago, a priest left the family home, one of many who has come here today to console the family. Marilyn Miglin gets a comforting hug from longtime friend and newspaper columnist Irv Kupsinen.
I think she's very strong and holding up very well. She's in tears quite a bit, naturally.
Sunday morning, Lee Miglin's body was found in the garage of the couple's Gold Coast home. Police returned to the home today, checking the roof of the garage, dusting for fingerprints inside the house. They say Miglin was tortured before he died, his throat slashed, his feet bound with masking tape.
There are aspects of the homicide that indicate that there was some torture that occurred.
This is believed to be the last place Miglin's missing car was spotted, at 75th and Stony Island. The owner of this gas station tells NBC5 police confiscated his surveillance tape after tracing the use of Miglin's credit card sometime between 8 and 8:30 this morning.
I think they get the information from the credit department or that such and such credit card has been used in this station.
Police say the missing Lexus is black jade pearl, a green color so dark it appears black. The license plate number is YKD 399. In addition to the car, police say money was missing from the home, and Mrs. Miglin apparently believes her husband's murder was a random act of violence.
That's what she believes, yes. Of course, what the police find may be entirely different, you know. There should be a lot of fingerprints around.
Now, Mrs. Miglin reportedly identified the owner of a gun found inside the house. Police are not talking much about that tonight, but tonight there is an all-point bulletin out for the missing Lexus, and police are advised to consider the occupant or occupants armed and dangerous. Reporting live from Chicago's Gold Coast, Robin George, NBC5 News.
Thank you, Robin. Autopsy results on 2 Braidwood boys found dead in a sand quarry confirm they died of hypothermia and drowning. 15-year-old Justice Carr and 14-year-old Everett Hodgins disappeared Wednesday. Their bodies were found Saturday, mired to the waist in wet sand and mud. Hodgins' mother says she's not satisfied with the ruling of accidental death, but the Will County Sheriff says there are no signs of foul play. There will be no new trial for Willie Enoch, the death row inmate convicted for the 1983 murder of Amanda K. Burns. As we first told you in a Unit 5 investigation, Enoch's lawyers had asked for a new trial based on new DNA testing of key evidence. But Enoch's DNA matched samples taken from that evidence. Enoch is scheduled for execution on May 21st.
It's a hearing where the actions of a judge are the issue. It's the James Heupel hearing. A bipartisan group of legislators began meeting today to decide if the state Supreme Court justice should face impeachment charges. At issue is whether Justice Heupel abused his position to try to beat speeding tickets. Some of the police officers who stopped Heupel on different occasions testified he did, that he became arrogant and irritated when stopped. But former Governor Jim Thompson, who's the lawyer defending Heupel, said if judges can be impeached for being arrogant, there would be a lot of empty courts.
A tall tale sends police on a wild goose chase in search of a 1-year-old who was never really missing. Police say 19-year-old Latasha Johnson was towed when she parked illegally downtown. She claimed her baby was inside the car, apparently thinking that would get her out of paying the $105 fine.
She didn't look too distraught to me for a person who lost a kid.
Police eventually found 1-year-old Chancey at home, being watched by an aunt. The mother now faces several charges.
He's about to become head of America's second-largest Roman Catholic archdiocese, and tonight Archbishop Francis George is officially taking up residence in Chicago. NBC5 night team reporter Marianne Ahern is live outside the Archbishop's mansion on State Parkway tonight. Marianne?
Ron, this is it. Quite a beautiful place, and as of tonight, it is Archbishop Francis George's new home. He's been away from Chicago for more than 40 years, so there's quite a homecoming planned this week. With his plane touching down at O'Hare tonight, it's a new beginning for Chicago's more than 2 million Catholics. And Archbishop Francis George concedes the job is a bit overwhelming.
I've been nervous the last few days, yes, but it feels good to be home.
He leaves behind many friends in Portland.
I can assure you that the entire church in Portland, Oregon regrets his leaving. We recognize that his appointment is a great gift to the Universal Church, it's a great gift to the church here in Chicago, but it's a great loss for us.
Archbishop George is well versed in the high-tech world. When he arrives at his office, he will find a new computer waiting for him.
Cardinal Bernardin loved to compose in longhand. That's how he thought. Now we have a new archbishop who really likes to use the computer.
As his belongings arrived at his new home, the new archbishop was busy showing he's a man who thinks on his feet.
Tomorrow you're going to be meeting with the priests, and you know, Cardinal Bernardin's big line that when he met with priests 14 years ago, "I'm your brother Joseph." We're wondering if you can give us a preview of what that big line of yours might be.
Well, that's a biblical line, and he meant it and he lived it. Can't be my line, of course, but just have to listen in, I think, tomorrow or the next day.
And we will be listening. The official installation Wednesday afternoon at Holy Name Cathedral. Reporting live, Marianne Ahern, NBC5 News.
Thank you, Marianne. Still ahead, we go behind the headlines in our new segment, Another Point of View.
And what are the warning signs of dangerous devotions? Unit 5 reports on a Chicago area man who says he was lured into a cult.
And later, the high-tech wizardry it took to make Invasion.
And next, gripping testimony as the sister of bombing suspect Timothy McVeigh takes the witness stand.
Gripping testimony as Jennifer McVeigh takes the stand in the Oklahoma City bombing trial of her brother Timothy. 23-year-old Jennifer McVeigh has stood by her brother throughout this ordeal, but now she's a witness for the prosecution. She testified that her brother expressed anti-government sentiments many times. A few months before the bombing, Jennifer McVeigh says her brother told her he was preparing to take action, not just make propaganda. She says he also wrote her a letter 3 weeks before the blast saying something big was about to happen. McVeigh's sister returns to the stand tomorrow.
One of the 2 fugitive Republic of Texas members is dead tonight, shot by police during a gun battle. Police say the suspect fired on them first, hitting and injuring 3 police dogs. Police think they have the other fugitive in that Texas separatist movement surrounded tonight. A victory for cigarette giant R.J. Reynolds, found not responsible for the death of a smoker. 49-year-old Gene Connor died of lung cancer in 1995. A jury tonight said that wasn't R.J. Reynolds' fault.
There have been warnings on there now for some 30 years. And the cigarette smoking is, despite whatever labels applied to it, very much a matter of personal choice.
They kill 170,000 people a year, and 6 people can't see that.
Tobacco stocks rebounded when the verdict came in.
And when it comes to trying to kick the habit, tonight there is new help available. The latest in nicotine therapy ahead in Health Watch.
But next, is your loved one involved in a dangerous devotion? One family's fight to free a loved one from a suspected cult.
What does the
Tonight, Unit 5 reports on the destruction that cults can cause. The most recent case, of course, the mass suicides of the Heaven's Gate cult in San Diego. But not all devotions need be that dramatic to be dangerous. So says a man who calls himself a former cult member. NBC 5 Night Team's Mark Sapulsa has tonight's special report.
It took his mother's pleading to get Ken Coons to walk away from a religious group he now calls a cult.
I believe it's destructive mentally and emotionally and psychologically to individuals.
The 28-year-old Chicagoan hooked up with the group in college. If there's a place where so-called cults target their followers, experts say it's here, on college campuses. Just check out the local college campus newspapers. Recent articles warn of the cult lure. Loyola University even printing a pamphlet on what to watch for. Most likely targets, intelligent, middle-class white males between 18 and 28 who are new on campus and lonely. Sister Christine heads campus ministry at nearby Triton College. Just last week, she counseled a student fitting that same description. He was forced to move out of town, in her words, safely away from a cult hounding him and his family.
When I look at the a free choice You need to be able to think. You need to be able to ask questions. You need to be able to mull things over and to take your time. Where I don't see that when I deal with somebody who is being harassed by a cult.
She says her biggest question about any religious group is, are you free to leave at any time? Dr. Laleen Rector, a specialist on the psychology of religion, agrees that's number one.
A cult doesn't want you to be too independent. And the moment that you're not free to go, literally not free to go, there's a problem.
Because once you're in a cult, she says, the guilt and fear of leaving can be intense. It's pressure that Ken Coons claims is purposely designed to keep you locked in.
To leave it means I'm going to hell. That would be a kind of a big mistake. To leave it means I'm leaving the movement of God and turning my back on God. That's what they would tell me. And that's what some people told me to my face.
Instead, Coons says, he turned the other cheek and left. Mark Sapelsa, NBC 5 News.
A spokesman for the religious group Ken Coons was in says it's not a cult and says the complaints of Mr. Coons are either unfounded or old and have already been addressed.
Breaking news tonight from Chicago's South Side. A two-alarm fire is burning in a building in the 8300 block of South Bond Street. There is a report of people trapped inside and at least 2 injuries. Flames reportedly are shooting through the roof of that 2-story structure. An NBC 5 News crew is on the way to the scene and will bring you further details as they become available.
One of those spring days where we had a little bit of everything today.
You put the nail on the head. Lots of sunshine, lots of storms, nice and quiet. Warm temperatures, lots of wind. Take a look at this. Time lapse, one of my favorite ways to show you the weather. Brings in the clouds this morning and the showers and even some hefty thunderstorms this afternoon. Visibility started to improve as the system moved out. Lots of sunshine until the clouds started to build in that warm sunshine and we fired some storms. Nice and quiet now, but a bit on the windy side. Calumet City, Thornton Fractional North High School weather tracker checking in at 63 delightful degrees. They had 0.14 of an inch of rain there today. The air has dried out just fine. Thank you very much. Even at this hour, temperatures about 10 to 12 degrees cooler than they were for daytime highs, but still pretty mild in the upper 50s to low 60s. Well, here's the showers that went through this morning, and boom, here are the big thunderstorms that fired this afternoon. Then we've dried out. Just a couple of light showers will scrape far, far northeastern Illinois during the overnight hours, but 95% of the area, fair skies and dry conditions. Speaking of dry, tomorrow's forecast map shows the area of high pressure over us. The air will be sinking, plenty of sunshine, a beautiful day. Our next rainmaker, though, already back to the north and west, will be in here on Wednesday, so enjoy tomorrow. It will be a beautiful day. About 10 degrees cooler than today's highs, but still 64 will be comfortable. Forecast specifics for the overnight hours will have fair skies, temperatures dropping into the low 40s, winds gradually diminishing. Still pretty breezy tomorrow morning, but the winds will gradually die down. Plenty of sunshine during the day, a few fair weather cumulus clouds in the afternoon, a high of 64 degrees, but a bit cooler at the lakefront as the winds lighten up. Beyond that, as we look ahead to Wednesday, we'll see the clouds quickly increase, some more showers and thunderstorms, ending as showers on Thursday, a few sprinkles on Friday, and still on the cool side for Saturday. We end up of the week on a cool note. Allison?
Thanks, Andy. It's a new segment on the NBC 5 News at 10. Another point of view when we come back.
Later, breast milk or formula. The latest on that debate at tonight's Health Watch.
Tonight, we introduce a new segment on NBC 5 News called Another Point of View. It's an effort to bring out Chicago's many diverse voices through commentary, which simply put is someone's opinion about a topic or an issue. It's different from the stories you see covered in a newscast, which are objective, without opinion. Over the next few weeks and months, we intend to bring you a variety of different people with different points of view. We have also set up a special feedback line so you at home can respond to any commentary you hear on NBC 5. That number appeared on your screen. It's 312-836-5753. The opinions offered are those of the commentator and do not necessarily reflect the views of NBC 5. Now here's another point of view. Tonight, Jerry Springer.
Thanks, Allison. Back when I was the mayor of Cincinnati, the neo-Nazis, knowing I was Jewish, figuring this would be a good test, applied for a parade permit. They wanted to march through our downtown on a Saturday afternoon. Well, I didn't know what to do. You see, much of my family was exterminated in the concentration camps of Germany during World War II. And I didn't think, in respect to my parents, who were survivors of it all, that I could go along with the permit. And yet I knew my constitutional obligation as mayor. So what was I to do? I called my folks. I would respect their wishes. I didn't tell them, but I'd already decided if they didn't want me to let the Nazis march, I would resign and let the next mayor approve the permit. But my dad reminded me that this is America, that this is the freedom we sought when we escaped to here. So we must never be a party to silencing any person or any point of view, no matter how despicable. If what is being said is nonsense or mean or spiteful or dangerous, or if the person uttering it is unworthy, let the words and ideas fall of their own merit in the free marketplace of ideas, not because they were silenced or denied a platform. My parents lost their parents and brothers and cousins to Hitler, and yet they still said, sign the permit, let them march. Last week, the general manager here announced that I had agreed to his request to do commentaries from time to time on NBC5 News. I'd been doing commentaries for over 20 years and won 7 Emmys for them, so whether I was qualified to do them didn't seem to be in question. It was a reasonable request, and so I said yes. But one of the anchors said she was deeply offended, that I wasn't up to her standards, that because of the admittedly wild and crazy talk show I do, I would taint everyone who worked here, that I was the poster child for the great unwashed of our society. This elitist snobbery that only people who meet an anchor's approval should be permitted to share the set is now being hidden in the self-righteous cries of journalistic integrity. Bull, and you can fill in the rest of that word. Please understand, we have no journalism in a free society unless we have commentary from all parts of the community, from the poor, the disenfranchised, the left, the right, the outrageous, and yes, the different, not just from the endless array of Walter Cronkite wannabes that populate every news program in America so that virtually every news program looks alike. Look, I am sorry the anchor quit. I'm sorry she found it necessary this week to use me as a stepping stone to martyrdom. But as much as I detest the elitist snobbery on this issue, I would never, ever suggest that she doesn't have a place on our airwaves. She does. But here in America, the rest of us do too. I wish she could have met my dad.
A new method to kick the smoking habit just got FDA approval for sale by prescription. The makers of the nicotine inhalation system say the inhaler stops cravings by using the hand-to-mouth movement that a smoker uses when they take a puff. And when smokers inhale, they get a sensation in the back of the throat similar to the feeling of inhaling from a cigarette. A new study fueling the debate over breastfeeding or bottle feeding with formula. The study says babies fed a special formula with fatty acids found in breast milk are not smarter than babies fed regular formula. At least one researcher says breastfed babies may do better than formula-fed babies because of the interaction during feeding and not because of the substances found in breast milk.
A marriage made on a playground has ended in a real-life court. 10-year-old Cody Finch and 11-year-old Katie Sawyer appeared in a New Mexico domestic violence courtroom today. A while back, the two fifth-graders had decided to pretend to get married, but that ended when Katie's parents filed a complaint against Cody, saying the little boy punched Katie and made threatening phone calls to her. The ordeal ended today. The children have orders from the court to stay away from each other.
Ready to resume the playoffs, John.
That's right, put their game faces back on and get back on that title quest once again. That's right, the round 2 rumble hits the floor tomorrow night as the Atlanta Hawks take their best shot at the world champs. The Bulls just chilling out the last week or so, stuck in a holding pattern, leaving them anxious for some fresh bodies to beat on.
They've earned their way, to face us here in the second round. So, I'm sure they're coming into this round feeling like that they can win this series.
True as that may be, the Bulls take honors as the heavy favorites. They beat Atlanta 3 out of 4 times this year, but despite winning by an average of 16 points, the world champs are poised for playoff war.
Well, she gives it right back. Scotty comes inside for the slam.
We're going to have to feel this opponent out. That's usually the way it is in a 7 round. It's more like a 15-round championship fight with a lot of sparring going on in the beginning of the game and at the beginning of the series.
Jackson, the hot topic away from the court, his future in doubt with the team for next year, and with rumors swirling about his departure, the coach fires a subtle shot at team brass.
The management and I have made a truce and waved the white flag about a month ago that we wouldn't talk about it, and since that time I've ceased talking about it, and I just hope that everybody else can cease talking about it, Mr. Reinsdorf too included.
Touche. Well, the Hawks roll into town fresh off dumping Detroit yesterday in Game 5. And this evening, the winningest head coach in league history sums up the mood of his club.
I think you have to feel confident. I mean, we got past the first round. First round was very tough, very intense series. And we feel like we're going to start to play the type of basketball that we're capable of playing.
I think we're very confident and we believe that we can accomplish something. All we have to do now is just let go and leave everything on the floor.
Game 1, Rockets and Sonics. Sean Kemp pumps in 24 points and then strikes a pose. But Hakeem Olajuwon and crew win this war. Call this one the Dream Shake. Oh, too sweet. Houston cruises 112 to 102. And with inquiring minds wondering what Jackson's worth on the open market may be, Larry Brown bags financial freedom with the 76ers. He takes over in Philly a reported 5-year, $25 million contract, a deal solidified by a personal touch from the team's owner.
We sent my wife a 60-pound thing of flowers, and she said, he's got my vote. And I knew I was in trouble then.
Well, if $5 million a year sounds sweet, check out Rick Pitino, the Kentucky head coach, reportedly set to take over as head coach of the Celtics for about $10 million per season.
And if I have to go to Boston, obviously I would have, I think, one of the greatest opportunities ever afforded a coach, because the Boston Celtics and the Kentucky Wildcats go hand in hand.
Man, $10 million a year. Well, tonight in the Stanley Cup chase, Eric Lindros just takes a beating on the boards. The Sabres double team him, and Lindros gets mugged on the bench, but no sweat. Eric and the Flyers absorb this, winning the game 2-1. They grab a 2-0 series lead. And one other note to pass along, former UCLA coach Jim Herrick. He's the new head guy at Rhode Island. And to finish things up, back to basketball, Jimmy Buffett at the Rockets game, and Mr. Margaritaville wasted away again, this time on a full load of silly string. You see, life's simplest pleasures can come in a can. I just love that stuff. That's sports. We'll see you later on.
Having too much fun. Thanks, John. If you watched tonight's miniseries Invasion, you might be left wondering how these aliens came to the TV screen. Tonight, a look at the real science behind this sci-fi movie. Bringing Robin Cook's Invasion to the TV screen took high-tech wizardry.
Computer graphic imaging for television shows allows a writer to really kind of free his imagination. There are things that we're doing in this particular film that I would never have dreamed of doing 10 years ago for television.
Through the magic of computer technology, not only did viewers watch meteor showers, aliens enter an eye and experience what a virtual reality microscope might be like. The combination of computer and 3D animation made Luke Perry's body like a lump of clay, allowing the movie creators to control his features so they appear to move, distort, and change on screen.
Myself as a writer, I kind of blithely described certain things, and I didn't realize, what kind of effort people had to make. A lot of people had to make an enormous effort in order to make this look as good as it does look.
But even with all the technology, it took huge sets on location at an Air Force base in Phoenix, Arizona, to leave a massive impression.
It was tough. We should have had a lot more time to make this than we did, but it was rushed and it was difficult. But having said that, everybody pulled together, and I'm very happy with the finished product.
Robin Cook's Invasion is the first of the author's books to be published concurrently with its television premiere.
And that's the news this Monday.
Have a good evening. Good night.